Fiance.
Yeah, all of us, one at a time. Some of us literally when they were in a dangerous situation, and some of us in a much broader sense. These two here tried to escape death, but in two different silly ways. Martin McDonough dared it again. He realized a masterful reunion with Brendan Gleeson and Colin Farrell 14 years after their hit in Bruges. Let me clarify. There is a big room for interpretation here. The Banshees of Inisherin is set during the backdrop of the Irish Civil War, particularly burlesquing the civil war between the IRA and the Free States. But I choose to focus on one of the main themes, death and its masks it can wear. Let's do a quick rewind. Colm and Patrick were best friends who live on an Irish island. Somehow, Colm chose to end the strong friendship out of nowhere, claiming that Patrick's becoming boring. Of course, there is more to it. As the story goes on, you understand that Colm has the deep desire to outlast his death by contributing something significant to the world of music, leaving a legacy behind that should eternalize his name in human history. Patrick, deeply offended by this, wants to know why he would stop him from fulfilling his desire. But what does this all have to do with death? We need to have a precise understanding of the figures to understand this issue. Let's start with Patrick. He is a lovely person who enjoys and cherishes simple things in life. The most important things for him are his beloved sister, his best friend, Colm, a pup he is daily visiting, and his domesticated pets, especially his pony called Jenny. Colm has the notion that niceness is something that people forget once a person is dead, and only the legacy lasts forever. His non-significant life on the island is pointless, which is why he considers most of his time there as wasted. Rather, he wishes to cement his legacy as a fiddle player, so that at least he contributed something significant to this world. That's why he claims that Patrick's boring personality and naive way of life is an obstacle for accomplishing his goals. His way of living has no substance or any significance for humankind, which is that Patrick is known as the kindest and friendliest neighbor on the island. However, as an inevitable consequence of Colm's already described desire, he must lead a life out of loneliness and despair. Otherwise, he will be forgotten soon from everybody and his name would have no meaning. Things get pretty much complicated as Mrs. McCormack steps in. Mrs. McCormack is a mysterious old woman in the film. However, her character becomes more sinister once she warns Patrick that there will be a death or two on the island before the month is out. In addition to the incidents with Colm, her prophecy is scaring even more Patrick because he might think that him and Siobhan, his sister, are the ones who are meant to die in her prophecy. This kindles a self-fulfilling prophecy. Siobhan leaves the island to pursue her career as her intelligence and education is not fitting to a life on this island. And Patrick suffers under worsened paranoia and is even more rushed to solve his conflict with Colm, ironically escalating the conflict instead of solving it, and indirectly leading to Jenny's death. What he doesn't understand is that McCormack's prediction is vague enough that it was almost guaranteed to come true. It was more of a sadistic stroke of genius than a banshee. And her predictions were true. Jenny, Patrick's pony, died, and Dominic, his only companion on this island. Dominic's story was sinister to begin with, particularly after he revealed that his father sexually abused him, and also his failed attempt to get together with Siobhan, who tragically ditched him. Now, how do these two people show us what not to do in terms of life and death? Patrick shows us that after the events on Inisherin, he is forced to confront the harsh realities of life once he experiences the betrayal and loss of friends and family. At the end, he is left alone by Colm, his sister pursuing her own career, and Dominic who lost his faith in Patrick's kindness. After all these hard tryings to gain back the friendship with Colm and reclaiming the heavenly peace on the small island, Patrick's character has tragically undergone a meaningful shift, abandoning the kindness that defined him at the beginning of the story. He lost his heart ultimately after he decides on mutually assured destruction over peace. Sadly, what made Patrick's heart so pure was that he has been blissfully unaware of these limitations of his small-town existence. At the end, he transforms into a spiteful and hate-fueled figure who has no interest in reuniting with Colm. This breakdown emphasizes the biggest danger one can ever experience, being aware and focusing on the limitations and shortcomings of oneself. And that easily happens if you define yourself by what other people think of you and whether they find you nice and innocent. Once those people disappear in your life, it immediately makes you less valuable on this earth. You are going to be one of a sad and bitter person, and this can cause a pretty negative company you keep with people around you. The way he is trying to escape death is by clinging to other people and animals he is surrounded with. Comparing this to Colm, he is not afraid to be forgotten after his death, but to be forgotten during his life. Colm shows us the other side of death's medal, The belief that isolation, leaning into despair, and navel-gazing are the root of meaningful art and self-expression is deeply nihilistic and stupidly qualifies you to lead a miserable, painful, and desperate life which is justified and fine as long as you leave something important behind. He doesn't notice that life itself has to be meaningful. And at the end, the only thing that matters is what people see in you now and what good deeds you have for them, because they are the only and real witnesses who can perceive your actions and you as a person. Once you're gone, no one really remembers you. If anything, some vague ideal that never is legitimate and true to yourself. But one question remains unanswered. Why do, out of all these figures, the two most innocent ones die? Dominic and Jenny. You can see this as the catastrophic consequences of people fighting each other for random wills. Dominic and the animal represent together an entity of innocence. So by messing up their environment, they cause the death of two innocent beings, making the overall society miserable. So what do we learn from this? 1. Never lose trust and hope despite of the losses and shortcomings you have. In the darkest times, you have to stay true to your heart and be as pure as you can. Find your goals and don't blame other people for feeling empty inside, but hold on to the competence you gained yourself. That should fill your inner void. And from this perspective, death is an eventuality. Seeing death as an eventuality reminds you that life can be short, which is why you have to be aware that your time is precious and you have to do something meaningful about it. 2. Although you might have your goals and define your own needs, you should not forget to take responsibility for the values and morals you have, that you and your community created together. From this perspective, life is an opportunity. This balance of having responsibility for yourself and for others as well is something that neither Colm nor Patrick could manage in the movie, except for one person, Siobhan. She did leave the island to pursue her own career, but never loses compassion for her brother. She did make a hard choice, but doesn't forget the responsibility she has for her family. And that is a big mission we all have in our current society. Creating your own values and morals, and also achieving your wants and needs. Every day, each situation demands a weighing of your own interests and interests of others. Throughout the film, Colm does compose a song by the name The Banshees of Inisherin. The Banshees appear in an old mythology that are described by their unbearable howl warnings as form of impending deaths. Colm says that if Banshees were real now, they wouldn't even bother howling to warn out deaths anymore, and might simply stand by to watch people stupidly pass away, because human beings evolved in such a strange way where everyone is living with no sense, no values and any morals. There are people like in this movie who neglect their life and are already dead before they even die. And then there are people who desperately urge to clamp on life, fearing to disappear forever. And the perfect way to end this is by citing Friedrich Nietzsche. God is dead. God remains dead. And we have killed him. How shall we comfort ourselves, the murderers of all murderers? What was holiest and mightiest of all that the world has yet owned has bled to death under our knives. Who will wipe this blood off us? What water is there for us to clean ourselves? What festivals of atonement, what sacred games shall we have to invent? Is not the greatness of this deed too great for us? Must we ourselves not become gods, simply to appear worthy of it?